This reflection is for Wednesday, August 12th, Feast of Saint Jane Francis de Chantal, religious. Saint Jane Francis de Chantal was born in 1572 in Dijon, France, into a devout Catholic family. She married Baron de Chantal and became a loving wife and mother. Their marriage was blessed with 6 children. But tragedy entered her life when her beloved husband died in a hunting accident, leaving her a widow at a young age. She also experienced the heartbreaking loss of 2 children who died at birth. These experiences of love, suffering, grief, and loss profoundly shaped her spiritual journey. Rather than allowing sorrow to harden her heart, Jane allowed God to transform her suffering into deeper love. As a widow, she placed herself under the spiritual direction of Saint Francis de Sales, who became her spiritual guide and close collaborator. Their friendship was founded not merely on her human affection, but on a shared desire to discover God's will and serve His people. In 1610, Saint Jane Francis de Chantal and Saint Francis de Sales founded the Order of the Visitation of Holy Mary, known as the Visitation Sisters. Their vision was remarkable: to create a religious community where women could seek holiness through humility, gentleness, prayer, charity, and faithful service. Saint Jane eventually established 85 monasteries before her death on December 13, 1641. Her life demonstrates what God can accomplish through a person who patiently surrenders every circumstance, joy and sorrow, success and suffering to His providence. Today, first reading from Ezekiel presents a powerful image of God's presence. The prophet sees the glory of the Lord moving from the temple. It reminds us that God's presence cannot be separated from holiness, faithfulness, and obedience. A beautiful building is not enough. God desires a holy people whose hearts become His dwelling place. This truth can be seen beautifully in the life of Saint Jane Francis. She did not build only monasteries of stone, she helped build communities of living faith. Through prayer, forgiveness, sacrifice, and charity, she created places where people could encounter God's presence. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus gives us another essential dimension of Christian life: reconciliation and communion. Jesus teaches us how to correct one another with love and how to pray together. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Saint Jane understood this deeply. She knew that religious community could flourish only when people learn patience, forgiveness, humility, and mutual love. Her life was not free from suffering or difficulties. She knew grief, misunderstanding, disappointment, and the pain of losing those she loved. Yet she refused to allow suffering to become an excuse for bitterness. Instead, she allowed God to make her heart more compassionate. Her wounds became place through which God's grace could enter and flow to others. Saint Jane Francis de Chantal teaches us that holiness is not about having a perfect life. It is about allowing God to transform the life we actually have. She teaches widows and parents, religious and lay people, young and old, that nothing offered to God in love is ever wasted. A painful loss can become an offering. A difficult relationship can become an opportunity for forgiveness. A small act of kindness can become a seed of God's kingdom. Her legacy of 85 monasteries is a testimony to what can happen when one person gives herself completely to God's plan. She built communities where prayer became strength, suffering became compassion, and love became a visible witness to Christ. Saint Jane de Chantal teaches us that God can transform our deepest wounds into source of grace. When we remain faithful to Him, practice forgiveness, and place our lives in His hands, He can use even our strength to build something beautiful for His kingdom. Like Saint Jane, we are called to become a dwelling place of God's love wherever we live and wherever He sends us. Question for meditation: what sorrow, wound, relationship, or difficulty in my life is God asking me to surrender to Him so that He can transform it into a source of love and grace for others?